Okay, we are live. We are going to give it a second as you guys, as everybody can join, make sure that we're live over on Facebook, all that jazz. As you guys are jumping on, do us a huge favor. If you are joining us live, go ahead and say hello in the comments. If you're coming back to catch the replay, let us know. We can come back, show you some love. We always appreciate all of our friends and family and our past clients that jump on and support us in our endeavors. It means the world to us to have that support. So thank you so much. We're so excited today to jump on and share with you guys a little bit of the behind the scenes of what it takes to, in today's market especially, to buy a house. We have our friend Heather here. Both Rebecca and I helped Heather buy her dream home. And it was an amazing experience. We're going to go first before we jump into the process. Why doesn't everybody do me a quick favor? We'll just do a quick intro. So Heather, why don't you share with everybody a little bit about yourself?
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you for allowing me to share my story and my journey about buying a house in Los Angeles, buying my dream house. A little bit about me. I am a single mom. I've got 2 kids. They're 10 and 12-year-old boys. And I'm ready for them to go back to school for sure. We've been on virtual school for the last year and a half. Things have really were very challenging for me over pandemic times. I was in a business that I thought was recession proof, and it hit a brick wall. I was in travel, and it hit a total brick wall. I never thought I would see that coming. I never thought I would see a day. I thought my business was totally recession proof. So I was not in the zone of buying a house or planning to buy a house for the last 18 months. Honestly, guys, I've just been trying to keep my head above water. So that's kind of how I arrived, maybe like many of you, coming out of the pandemic and into what I thought was going to be a year of like having some time to rebuild, because I was really, really, really tapped out at the beginning of this year, both emotionally, but also financially.
Oh my God, same. So Rebecca, why don't you share everybody a little bit about yourself?
I'm Rebecca Sekulich, and I am a real estate agent here in Los Angeles. And Heather, I consider to be one of my very closest best friends. We met in a silent retreat, kid you not, way back when, many, many moons ago. And we couldn't talk until the end of it. So we became friends, and she's been on this journey. And I have to say that it's been an awesome journey to go from where I've seen you come to where you are now, and to honestly make your dream come true. You told me about the house that we actually bought when I first met you that was down the street from where you lived. And I remembered that. And you said, when that house goes up for sale, that's going to be my house. And like magic, it just sort of happened. So I'm here. I'm not only a friend, but I feel like a colleague. And you know, I love real estate. It's actually my chosen profession. It's what I love to do. It's not what I was trained to do, but I'm here, and I've been in Los Angeles for 21 years, and I've been an agent since 2014. So I've closed a lot of transactions. I've helped a lot of people manifest their dreams. And my heartfelt love is working with people and honestly getting them to understand that they can make their dreams come true, and we can make this happen. And a lot goes into it. So that's part of the fun. It's like a big challenge for me, or a game. And I do not like losing. So this is another one that we won, and here we are. And I could not be happier to work with 2 of the finest people and women on the planet. It's been an epic journey, and I cannot wait to dive into it.
That's so amazing. BT Dub, when you said, one, I'm competitive and I don't like losing. We all have that in common. We all have this in common. So thanks, Chris, for joining us. I'm glad you're here. Yafit may have probably 100% got that completely wrong. Thank you for joining. Thank you for your comments. If you guys are really loving this conversation, do us a favor, share this out into your stream. That's a way that we can make a bigger impact on the world, and really be of service to people. So if you're in the market for a home, or you previously bought a home, this is going to be the perfect live stream for you, because we're going to get into what it really takes, because real estate is a team sport, and you got to have everybody pushing in the same direction. Okay, so this one was almost, I mean, I'm going to say just a miracle waiting to happen. Like Rebecca said, Heather called this out many, many years ago. But there was a lot of things that we had to put together, and there was a lot of, it's always a roller coaster. I want to say almost every transaction is a little bit of a roller coaster. There's a lot of emotions. I'm sure, Rebecca, you feel this way. Of all the things that I do in mortgage, I probably am a therapist more than anything. That's how I feel. It's like high emotion that we have to deal with. My name is Paige Hernandez. I am a mortgage loan officer here in Southern California. Somebody's home at my house. I have been doing mortgages for over 20 years. Really grew up in the industry. My parents have, excuse me, you guys are going to come with me to the door because I'm not really sure what's going on. My kids might be home because, they always like to throw a wrench into things. But I've been doing those my whole life. All right. Hey, give me 1 second. I need you guys to be quiet because I'm doing a live stream. So pass that on out there. All right. So this is how this happens. If you guys, I'm sure you all know, I think we're all going through COVID lockdowns. And so my kids are now out of school and now I work from home 100%. So it happens like this. So thanks for being gracious. Gee, I'm glad you're here. Jackie, I'm glad you're here. So I've been doing loans since I was way, way, way young. My mom has a mortgage company she's had for 30 years. So really grew up in the industry. The thing I love about my job, one, like Rebecca was saying, is that this is like a big puzzle. It's a big challenge. And being able to help people buy their very first home, that is a amazing experience. This is one thing that I've learned is that if you go into retirement and you've been a renter your whole life, you're not going to have a whole lot to work with. However, if you own a home, on average, you're going to have more than $200,000 accessible to you. And so that shifts an entire family. That's a generational shift. So I can 100% get behind that. And so I love helping clients with their mortgage needs, especially on purchases with their first home, especially when it's a dream home. It's a lot of emotion and it's a lot of pressure to deal with. But I think, a lot of us really thrive in that environment. But we also do refis. We help people refinance their house, get themselves in a better position, take out cash, but maybe go do another investment. So that's a little bit about me. Let's get into the story. So Rebecca and Heather, why don't you guys talk about how this story came together? Because we were all at a girls' dinner up at Heather's house just recently when this whole thing started to transpire.
Well, Heather, I should let you start because it all started with you. Paige, you're the lender and I'm the agent, but it doesn't start without the buyer and actually the house. And it's an interesting story. So, you want to talk about from when we very first knew?
Well, so I've lived down the street from this house for almost 10 years. And I originally thought that it had already been kind of sold, like it had already been worked out, because there were caretakers that lived across the street that had been caretaking it for many, many years, and also caretaking for the owners that were there. And everybody who lived nearby, that's like, I'm not unique. It's all of our dream houses. Everybody who has ever laid eyes on this house just falls in love with it. And we all love it. It's this beautiful house on the hill that we all look up to and we all just love. And we had thought that it had already been kind of guided into its next ownership. So when I saw that there was a sign in the yard, I was like really shocked because we thought that it had already been arranged. And I thought maybe that was just something that needed to happen, but it wasn't actually truly happening. So I immediately started talking to all of my neighbors and finding out, what's the deal with the house? Who knows the owner? Why is there a sign in the yard? And I didn't get answers fast enough. So I think within about maybe 45 seconds or a minute, I was calling Rebecca on one phone. I'm calling Paige on the other phone. I've got the number from the sign on the other one. And I'm like, I have to get information. And it turns out that because I hate to think about what could have happened because I wasn't being proactive. So here's something that I learned from you, Rebecca, that you said to me that I wished I would have known going into this, which is if you have your eyes on a house, especially if you live near that house or you have some kind of a contextual relationship to it, you need to get yourself a wonderful lender, a wonderful realtor, and you need to make your intentions known. I think that possibly we could have got this across the finish line a little bit less expensive if I'd been a little bit more vocal early on. It took the sign hitting the ground before I really was ready to take action. But when that happened, I was 100% all in with my team, making everybody who was within hearing distance know that's my house. That's my dream house. I want that house. That's my house. That's my dream house. I want that house. So, I mean, I had my neighbors, I had everybody on the hillside, plus you two working from the different angles. And I didn't really stop that refrain until about 5 minutes ago. I want to let everybody know that's my house. That's my dream house.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, man, you have to manifest it, right? So it's, this is my thing. This is my thing. Yeah. So Rebecca, what was your experience like at the beginning?
Well, here's the call, the frantic call. Oh my gosh, the sign went up in the yard. And I'm like, whose name is it? And she told me the name. And it happens to be that the agent, who's the listing agent, is in the same brokerage as me. Yet I didn't know him. But instantly that creates a camaraderie. And there is, we're at the same place. And we work for Compass, and Compass asks its agents if we would like to join them. We can't go into Compass and say, I want to work for you. They have to come to you based on your production, how many houses you've sold. And it puts us in this like elite category where we, know and like each other. And even though the listing agent and I had never met, I knew a couple of people in his office, and I knew there was going to have to be some strategy. So I picked up the phone and called him. He did not answer. And I'm a persistent agent. So I called him and I called him. I think it took 3 or 4 times before he picked up that phone, and he finally called me back. And here's the thing. There was a strategy in this, because it's not like the sign went up and it was listed and it was ready to go and ready to be sold. The sign went in the front yard, and they were, I don't know, Heather, what was it? 3 weeks? 3 weeks away from actually hitting the list button. So it's kind of, an agent teaser. And so I had asked him, what is dangling carrot. When is it going to get listed? My client lives down the street. She loves the house. She's sort of been over there. We'll get into that in a minute. Knows the owner, and we'll go into that later, but I just want to say there was an entire strategy. The agent said to me, well, we're really getting the house ready and we're shooting it and it's going up this weekend. So I'm like, great, Heather, it's going up this weekend. There should be an open house. Well, it didn't happen. And so here's me, I'm calling back, and nice to talk to you again. Tell me what's going on. I don't want to bug you or harass you, but my client really loves this house. And he goes, well, we did a photo shoot and it didn't look great. So we're going to go back in the house. We're going to move everything that we can out, and we're going to make it look as magical as we can, because we want to present it in the right way so that people like Heather want to come and buy it. Well, Heather and I had spoken, and I came back around, and she wanted to make an offer. And so this is where we could have blown the entire deal. So it is all about strategy and listening to my intuition, what Heather wanted, where Paige was with the loan, and what the agent wanted. So it's not even about the agent, it's about the seller. And so listening to their needs and what they want. And this real estate thing, it is a game. And if you don't play it correctly, you will lose. And people will not get their houses that they want, and they, will cry that they've had to write 6 to 12 offers to get one accepted. I normally write 1 or 2 before they're accepted. Heather, how many offers have I written for you and got accepted and bought a house? How many? Have we written 100? Oh, 1. We wrote 1 offer, because I will not write an offer unless I am like 95% sure we have a chance of getting that house and that we are going to be included in the top 3 offers. So we're in this crazy real estate market. February, March, April, May was nutso cuckoo, getting 20, 30, 40 offers. So I told the agent we wanted to write, and Heather really wanted it. And I could hear the agent telling me, but not telling me, not the greatest idea. He's like, well, you can submit. And he would throw these fake numbers out. And we ended up, we can tell you where we started and where we ended up, but it was like a $200,000 differential. And so if we would have submitted, it's like me saying, okay, the restaurant is not open yet. You can go in it, but you can't eat the food because we're not ready to have the doors open and have you come in. So I could have written the offer before it was listed, before there was an offer deadline. And we probably, I know in my heart now, we would not have gotten it. That is not how you play fair real estate. Like, he had a plan. He wanted to stick to it. He wanted to market the property. He wanted to do the best thing for his client, the seller, get him the most amount of money, and pick the right person. So this is where I talk about divine alignment and things coming together to fruition to make things happen. It's literally, I talk a lot. You'll see that right now, but it's about listening. And I had to listen to him while listening to Heather, who was like, give me the house, give me the house. And I didn't want to let my best pal down, and I wanted to get it. And there's a strategy. So we waited and we waited, and I gently would call. Hi, it's me again. How's it going? How's the seller? How did the photo shoot go? Gentle, not being overbearing, not being too, bitchy, not saying anything or overstepping my boundaries, sort of working the conversation in. I will say this, we can't really write letters anymore with our offers because it violates the Fair Housing Act, and it's a little sad. And we can talk about how much we love the house, and we can talk about price and how qualified Heather is and how much money she has or doesn't have, but she can't say, I'm a single mom with two, 10 and 12-year-old boys, and I live down the street. That violates, race, religion, sex, sexual orientation, all of those things. So we cannot write a letter anymore. So I was just working things in. She lives down the street and she's wanted this house forever. It's her dream house. And so all of these things snowball over a 3-week period. And I just kept following up. One of my favorite quotes of all times comes from the owner of my former company, and it's the fortune is in the follow-up. I just gently got in there, and he started to answer the phone. Hi, Rebecca. It went from, hi, can I help you? Who is this? To I was programmed into his phone, and then we had rapport. And it took weeks to get there. And so then the offers were due, open houses came, and that's when all the magic happened. So we wrote the offer, and there was a counter offer that actually went out. I don't know, you want to talk about prices and where we started and all that, or do you not want to get into the specifics?
Sure.
So originally the listing agent had told, Heather, what did the seller tell you he wanted to sell the house for? What was his number? 600,000?
600,000.
600,000. That was what he told Heather when she went and knocked on his door and introduced herself to him. And we'll talk about that in a second, but 600,000. When I talked to the agent, he wouldn't tell me. Then his wife got involved. And if he watches this, I adore both of you as a couple. They're married. His wife called me back, and I won't name them, but his wife called me back and said, oh, the seller wants, what was the magic number? I think it was 749 is where we were at. That's where they were going to list the house. And that took 2 weeks for them to tell us. And then what did the house get listed for?
It depends on when you looked. Because if you looked on day one, it did get listed for 749.
It sure did.
If you looked on day two, it went up in price by just about $100,000. So
it magically went from to 750 to 850. So 749, 849. And Heather and I were like, we were like shocked. And so I went back to the agent and I said, I'm going to use the word gentle because I'm a high D, I'm dominant. I can overpower people. Very gently, I dialed back and said, interestingly enough, the seller had spoken to, Heather about the house, and he said that he was looking to get 600,000. And he said, well, he really would like to get more. He didn't know how much his home was worth. We are pricing it right where we think it should sell. And we hope that we can get the seller more money, because it's every seller's hope is that you can get the maximum amount of money. It's not just about money, it's about motivation. And in our world, guess what? Motivation wins over money every single time, because that is what's going to take you across the finish line to get your, get you through the whole process, get you through the loan, the inspections, everything. It's the motivation. You have to love that house. I tell my clients, if you are not in love, walk away. And we're going to find the house that you're in love with, because when you're in love, you're going to get married. You're going to get married to me. You're going to get married to your lender. You're going to get married to the seller. You're going to get married to the agents, and you're going to get married to our whole dream team. And we have an all-female dream team. Female buyer, female realtor, female lender, female inspector, female appraiser. Everybody was a woman, and it was awesome. So got to that point, and we submitted our offer above asking, and we thought it was a great offer. I can't even remember what we submitted at. It doesn't really matter, but we went in above asking, and we had our magic numbers, and we put all of our magic and manifestation into it, and we got a counteroffer. And it's par for the course for where we're at right now in real estate. Everybody's getting a counteroffer because they can not only counter you on price, but they can counter you on all of the terms. And that's exactly what happened. So after that came back, it was another come to Jesus conversation with Heather. We had to sit down, and I said, Sissy, we have got to do something crazy. We have got to knock it out of the park. We have to separate the girls from the women, the people from the children, the men from the boys, and we have got to give them something that they cannot refuse and they will not say no. So the listing agent, as he should, would not tell me where the other offers came at. And there was a handful. It's not like there was 20 offers, but I think they ended up with 5 or 7 in the end. And then 3 or 4 of us were in play after the counters went out. And so again, picking up the phone, talking to him, asking him powerful questions. What do we need to do to knock it out of the park to get our offer accepted? What is it going to take? Rebecca, write me your best offer. That is not what I want to hear. So I asked again, and I asked again, and I asked again. I think it took 5 more conversations before he literally came back to me and he said, we've been in a relationship now for 3.5 weeks together. You have called, you have been kind, you have listened to me, you have done what I've said, and I haven't given you anything. And he's like, now, because of how you've reacted and how you've been, how Heather's been, how everyone is like on the same page. He came back and said, this is what you need to do. And he didn't tell me write an offer at $950. He said, you have to get beyond this. And the further you get beyond, the bigger the chances that I can seal the deal and accept your offer. And so again, like playing a giant game of Russian roulette, we just don't know. So the important, powerful question that I asked Heather, do you remember what it was? Or I say it all the time, but you might not remember. But I asked you one question in the very end. Do you remember or no?
Well, I feel like I've been asked lots of questions. I feel like I've had a lot of info. I think maybe it was the one about if the house went for X number and you knew that, what's that number that you need to get up to that you can sleep at night?
Well, yes, that is what I said. And now I will reword it, rephrase it differently. What I said is, Heather, if the house sells for X amount of dollars and you lost it by 5 or 10 grand, how upset would you be? What number will you cry if you lose the house by? So if we had 4 or 5 offers and they were all around 940, 950, 960, and they have them all in front of you, what is going to make you stick out that would make that seller choose you in the end? And I said, I need it to hurt. Like, I want it, like the number you have to stretch to, that you're not willing to go over, the one where you're like, okay, that's a lot of money and I'm paying a lot and I might be overpaying, or I might think I'm overpaying, but I'm not, that you wouldn't cry if you lost it by. Because if that house went for $955 and you were willing to pay $1 million, you'd cry, wouldn't you? So I wanted to say, so we ended up at 980. No, is it with 984, 499? Yeah. We like odd numbers because, again, it sets you apart. So I asked Heather what her favorite number was. So 984, 499 is where we ended up. And why am I saying it like that? I'm saying it like that because literally it was a big spread. And I know that there were offers over 950, and I think one of them was around 965. And so again, we set it apart. he had to choose between the neighbor, that's Heather, and this other person, and one of them was an all cash offer at $950. So people ask me all the time, why would a seller choose to take an offer with a loan and with contingencies over an all cash offer? And the simple answer is, it all comes down to money. If I were to offer you, Paige or Heather, $950 and someone were to offer you $985, that's $35,000 more. That could be life-changing. That might be his salary for an entire year, or him not having to work one less year of his life. So it all boils down to money and then that motivation, and can we bring it home? So long story short, Douglas, I said his name, Douglas, the listing agent, didn't tell me, but he hinted what I should do. And he said to me, after all of this, I don't think he liked me in the very beginning, but when it came down to it, there were hugs at the inspection. And he said, I respect you. And you played exactly how we were supposed to play this. And you brought it home. And you are the reason. Heather bought the house, but I chose you. And I told the owner that you guys were an amazing team and a package deal, and that we were going to close. And I promised him, and that's because of Paige, I knew we were going to close this loan. And I can't promise a lot of people a lot of things, but I knew 100% that this deal was not going to fall apart. We had no inspection contingency and we had no appraisal contingency. And that was another heart-to-heart with Heather about that. If the house didn't appraise, were you willing to stretch, cash in everything that you had, every dime that you've worked for in your life? Were you willing to give that up if the house didn't appraise? And what did you say?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, because this is the house.
No question.
The house is going to what you do in this house. This is the house you're going to.
Well, I don't want it to happen soon, but I feel like I moved here to die here. So exactly. I'm spending all of my days. So right. I definitely am all in for sure. Yeah.
So everybody who's thinking about buying a house over there, Heather, you might have thought you overpaid, but in the end, you didn't overpay. You bought your dream house, and I'm going to guarantee you in 2 years, the house will be worth $200,000 more than you paid for it. And in 10 years, you'll have a $2 million house. So it doesn't matter. You're only overpaying because you're overpaying. The house is only worth what a buyer is willing to pay, and you are willing to pay it. And the caveat to this whole thing is the house did not appraise. It did not appraise by not a lot, but Heather had to come in with some cash, and that is okay because thank goodness it appraised above asking price, but not at what we actually closed at. So it was not a big deal. Was it enough to did it hurt? Not as much if it would have appraised at asking price, but it stung a little bit. But the good news is it's money that's going right back into her house. It's now less of a mortgage you have, your payment is lower, and you have that much more equity. So even if you think you're overpaying, you're not overpaying. It's equity in the house. So that's how it happened. I literally feel it was the three of us plus the listing agent. It was divine alignment. The house, even though it was older and been lived in, the inspection came out beautifully, and there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with the house. It's old and it needs some renovations, but it's amazing, and it all worked out. And we actually ended up closing a little bit late, but that wasn't anyone's fault. The appraisals are taking longer. Paige will talk to that. They're taking longer because everyone is stretched right now. It's longer to order them. It's longer to get the people to come out, and it's taking longer to actually get them to come back in. So we didn't close in exactly 30 days, but we almost did, and everybody was okay. Because for that, the seller is still there. Heather does not have her keys yet. She'll be taking possession next week because the seller is moving all of his stuff out that he's lived there the last, 30 years. He's lived there a long time. And he needed our money to close to buy his dream house where he's moving him and his mom and his family into. So this whole story is like a feel-good one, and it worked. And I just know that all of us came together and this divine alignment. I'm standing by it because without each of us and the way that we are, the way that we speak, the way that we manifest things into fruition, it happened. And it's probably one of the greatest stories that I have lived through in my 15 years of real estate. And I'm so grateful to know you and to have you, Paige, on our dream team. And it's magical. There's no other word for it. It is magic. It was happened, and I witnessed it, and you witnessed it, and everybody in our world witnessed it because they didn't think it was possible, and here we are.
Yeah, there were so many good things in there. We're going to unpack it just a little bit more in a second. Hey, CJ, thank you so much for joining. It's so great to see your name pop through. If you guys are loving this conversation, share it out into your social medias. We love to make a bigger impact on the world, and getting this information out to more people is very, very, very important. Rebecca really went through how you can give yourself an advantage in this market, like some amazing, amazing tips. This is a competitive market here, and her tips are brilliant. So Heather's going to talk a little bit about what she had to do, because she moved mountains. She moved mountains to make this happen. So Heather, why don't you talk to people kind of where you were at the beginning and what you had to do to make this all happen for you?
I had been in the process of putting some offers in on some other houses over the last few years, and I had strengthened my muscle, my down payment muscle of saving up money for a down payment. But then when COVID hit, that became kind of my emergency cushion. And that's why I was saying I really was not financially or emotionally in a place that I was really looking for a house. And so I needed to rebuild up my cash cushion. And in January of this year, I got a really strong feeling that I needed to connect with someone that had been wanting to work with me. And I needed to take my work life in a totally different direction. And it was very abrupt, and it kind of took me by surprise. But I just had this really strong feeling in January that I needed to, come and partner up and start to work with this new company and new person, and that something was going to happen as a result of it that was very important in my journey. And so I just surrendered everything, and I said yes. And I started to do, to work a new position, a new job, helping a company scale and go national. And that was taking up a lot of my bandwidth. And I was just working on really, really very industriously rebuilding my cash cushion and my savings. And that was like my whole focus. And I get very excited when I get to put money in savings. And so I was really working on rebuilding that up and getting my cash cushion back and rebuilding that up. And so, originally he did put the house on the market for one day in December last year. I didn't see the sign, and I don't know, but he put it up one day, and then he had a bad feeling about it and he took it down. If he would have tried to sell that house last December, there's no way in hell I would have been able to get myself together. I barely got it together between May and July 20th. So there's no way in hell I could have done it last December. So the biggest thing I would say, what I had to do is I had to rebuild my 6-month cash cushion. I had to rebuild my 6-month cash cushion. I had to save up for my down payment for it. And then I needed to clean up some tax stuff that I had an intention and a purpose of handling one way. But then with the COVID and everything else, my taxes just got really tangled up. They were really messy, and they were not well taken care of or well executed for several years. So I had to untangle that. It was something that I would not recommend that other people want something at the level that I wanted this and enter with the level of readiness. It's almost like trying to prepare for a marathon. I'm going to run a marathon maybe this weekend and trying to train for it in about 4 days. That's how it felt. So to me, a big reminder of this in my going forward and things that I want to create and manifest in my life going forward from here is there's a big message of being ready, stay ready, be ready, get ready now. I understand if you've never thought that you could own a house, if you're living in a studio apartment somewhere, if you don't think it's even a reality for you, maybe you're living with multiple people in your family to try to pay a rent that seems exorbitant to you. That's how I felt in LA for many, many years. So just get ready now, because when it's your time to be ready, it feels a lot better if you're not having to play so much catch up. So I will say for me, I feel like I had to play a lot of catch up because I had about 5 years of untidiness around the orders of my affairs and my finances. That was very stressful for me. And I called in a lot of favors. So that's why I truly say to somebody, if I can do this, I promise you, you can do it too. Because I am nearly positive that 90% of the people that I know have filed taxes since 2015. And I did not. And I was still able to do this. Not that it was easy or smooth, but I'm telling you, you are worlds ahead of me already. So you can do this too. It's a lot of catching.
No, I love that. I love that, because a lot of times when people see a story like yours and they're not in that place, they just think to themselves, this is never going to happen to me. And let me share with you guys, Heather has been on such an amazing journey. If you would have caught Heather what year did you do Life or Debt? 2016?
Yeah, it was it must have been about 5
years. Because you used my TV.
Yeah, let me not tell 2016. Let me not tell you the dramatic shift that happened. You know, Heather was working herself to the bone, but didn't run her life like a business and was in the red constantly. And the shift that happened in that time working with Victor Antonio, it was miraculous just to see that. She built a ginormous business. Think 2019 paid out in 1099s like $300,000 in payout to other people.
382. So, I paid out
382.
And I looked at my account and I said, "What is this 382 number?" I said, "Is that how much I earned?" He goes, "That's how much you paid other people."
That's
I was
how much
like,
you paid out. Right. So that was a huge shift, right? But it didn't have taxes. And so when we went into the loan process, you know, we're looking at now, this is $1 million house. How do you afford $1 million house not doing taxes? So we had looked at a couple of different options. We first had a bank statement option because on bank statements, the income is there. We can prove the income. So we had a lot of, you know, time going through 24 months of bank statements. That was our first avenue that we were going to go down. However, prices for bank statements, Heather, do me a favor, mute yourself out. I'm going to mute you because I think it's reverbing back. Bank statements typically aren't the best rates out there. So for Heather, we had a backup plan. Let's find a co-borrower. If you can find a non-occupant co-borrower. Woo, I got kids in the background. 1 second. You know, kids are really good at like the perfect time for just like, I'm going to find this right time. Okay. They had plenty of time up until right now. So we had a bank statement was our first plan. The other plan was let's start searching for a non-occupying co-borrower. We ended up finding one that enabled us to go full documentation and get her into a conventional loan at the best prices. This is just comic relief. Yes, baby girl. Okay, I'm sorry. Can you go to your room? I'm almost done. Okay, we'll be done in a second. So our other avenue was conventional product. We went that way because that was going to give us the best rate. We moved really quickly, got it over to the lender. And the appraisal, like Rebecca was saying, took a little bit longer. Rebecca gave you the best info about appraisals. Right now, you might be paying more than your appraisal, but my usually word of advice is in 5 years, does this thing matter? If you pay $20,000 over your appraisal, no. If it does, I mean, this is like life lessons, right? Anything that bothers you right now in 5 years, is it going to matter? Yes or no? No? Okay, then I need to move on. If it is, then I need to handle it. So same thing when you're buying a house. You might pay over appraised value. Like that's kind of common right now. But is it a big deal in 5 years? No? Okay, then who cares, right? Why are we even talking about it? So yes, it did not appraise for the full amount. It appraised more than I thought it was going to appraise for. So that was good. Right? I was like, well, I'll take that all day long.
All day long.
There we go. I thought it was going to be worse. So that's great. And as we started to move into the very bitter end of our loan process, sometimes this will happen, is it started to get a little squirrely with the lender. They didn't really like the fact that we were filing our taxes at the same time that we're doing a loan. Granted, I could fight this 50 which ways from Sunday, but as the lender started to drag their feet, I got this hit of intuition of like, you better double act this somewhere else because you don't want to be up a creek without a paddle, right? Because that'll happen. Now, this is a benefit if you go to a mortgage broker. If you go to a direct lender, they don't have alternates. You only got one choice. And so if it would have gone south at the very end and I was a direct lender, everybody would have been affected. We would have lost that deal. Heather would not have her dream home and Rebecca wouldn't have closed the sale. So thank God I got that hit, and I was like, let me double act this thing. So I double act it, and sure enough, you know what? It's like an appraisal, right? Appraisal is opinion. It's somebody's opinion, right? So two appraisals can be completely different in price. Same thing with two underwrites, right? So I sent it to the second lender. It came back super clean. We just needed a couple more days to get through everything. But we got it across the finish line. I might have lost a little bit of sleep, especially towards the end. I always know everybody's getting really stressed out when I start getting phone calls from the real estate agents. I'm like, oh man. And so the listing agent's calling me, what's going on? You know, like, when are we closing? Where are you? And I'm like, listen, this is like Rebecca was saying at the beginning, it's heavy lifting for her for 3 weeks to build this relationship with the agent. She's calling him all the time, like, hey, we're going to get this thing across the finish line. We're going to get across the finish line. You know, at the end, especially because the listing agent doesn't know me, he's never worked with me. It's like, what are all the things that I can do to reassure him we're going to close on this? Like, I'm going to give you my all. I don't care what I need to do, but we're going to work all night if we have to, and we're going to get this thing across the finish line. I need you to hang in with me. We might need a couple extra days. What do you need us to do? Do you need us to release a contingency? You know, luckily for Heather, we didn't have to like release any money to give them a little bit of like a good feeling, but we did release our contingencies. We were like, just hold in there with us, right? Because we just need one more week. We need one more week.
Don't forget though, there's another caveat. There was like 100, but the big one was the listing agent. Now, if you're listening, Douglas, don't freak out. The listing agent was freaking out. He was fine with me. He was fine with Heather. He was fine with Paige, but he was getting bad feedback and slack from the other side of his client's purchase. So he was going to be paying all cash from the proceeds of Heather's house's proceeds for his new house. And the agent over there was flipping out. And I'm like, give me her number, give me that address. And literally, I'm going to call her and tell her we are totally fine. He's like, no, don't do that. But she was freaking out because I'm like, why are you freaking out? It's an all cash deal. This is going to go through. So unfortunately, he was being sort of what I'm going to call gently harassed by another agent. And in our agent world, not cool. We have to work together. It takes a village to get this stuff done and to cross the finish line. That agent should have been so flipping grateful that she had an all cash over asking clean offer from a gentleman who just sold his house after 30 years. And so Douglas was freaking out that this wasn't happening. And every day I had to literally play the role of therapist. I do it often for Heather and Douglas and Paige and everybody else. But now I'm playing it for another agent. So I'm coaching him on what to say to her. And he's like, Rebecca, we just need you to lift our contingencies. And I'm over there with Paige going behind the scenes. What can we do? What can we do? And she's like, I just need a couple more days. So we're stalling, trying to not let them know that there's anything wrong, because there's nothing wrong. It's just time. And by the way, how many holidays happened during this transaction? 2, 5, 6. Why you guys are both muted? I can't hear you, but okay.
Yeah, and Rebecca and I are traveling. It's definitely not the easiest time to go. I was on an
island in northern Michigan without great Wi-Fi while this is all happening, and people are calling, the texts aren't going through. So this is why it's so important that buying a house, having the greatest lender, having a great agent on the side is about communication. And it's about the relationships we're going to cultivate. And Douglas knew by then he trusted me. And I know that he did not trust me when I picked up the phone to call off of his sign. He didn't trust me phone call 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think it was probably week 3 when I knocked it out of the park, writing the big offer, weird numbers. I think he finally said, I trust this woman. She is going to do it. And then he wasn't going to trust us till the very end, until that contingency for the loan was lifted. He's like, okay, now we can close 2 weeks from now. He did not care. All he wanted was that contingency. And he said, send it to me. I just need to take a screenshot to calm Sissy down on the other side. And so he did. And then that everything, it was just like, like the relief. I felt like 2,000-pound anvils were lifted off of both of my shoulders. Paige was like, oh, it's okay. We can breathe again. And Heather's like, is it happening? Are we doing this? Are we closing? And it's what had to happen. And everybody just needs to remain calm and have the faith that this mountain was going to get moved. And we did. You guys are muted still.
Headset then died. I'm really bad at plugging things in, so that was bound to happen. Maylee, thank you so much for joining us. I'm so glad you're here. Heather, do you remember, real estate, right? Real estate mortgage. Sometimes stuff goes a little wonky. It does, right? Do you remember what I told you? I said, don't worry. 99.99999% of the time, it all works out in the end. And and I'm sure Rebecca had this, when you're helping somebody that is a really close friend buy their dream home, that's a lot of pressure to carry through a transaction, right? It's a lot. And so I just had to keep reminding myself, it always works. It always works. You always get the home that you're supposed to get. 100%, it always works like that. And you have to have that faith when we're talking about manifestation. You have to have that faith that this is where we're going. All steams ahead. Everybody's pulling this way, and that's the only way it's going, right? Because the minute I would have checked out and been like, oh, I don't know. And that was easy for me. I remember Heather telling me the price, and I was like, I need to catch my breath for a second because you're gonna buy $1 million house. Oh my gosh. Hey Monique, thanks for joining us. I'm so glad you're here. If you guys have any questions about real estate, mortgage, whatever, put them in the comments. We'll get to them. If you love this, go ahead and share it out into your social medias. But yeah, there was plenty of time for us to really start second guessing ourselves, but we had to double down on our faith in ourselves, our faith in each other, and that this, really the faith in the buyer, that this was her dream house. And we were going to do whatever we had to do to make this happen for her. And I love how Rebecca said it really is at the end of the day about relationships. And I wish more of the industry was like that, where there's just people, they don't want to play team. And it's so much easier of an experience if we can all play team with each other. It's so much better. So yeah. So anything else you guys want to share with people before we go?
I want to quickly just touch on what you said about manifestation and just 100% you have to do all of the inner work, right? And all of the mindset work and all of the vibes. I had, this taped around 8 different places of my house. It was on my screensaver. It was in my planner. It was everywhere I go. And I would constantly stop and really intake it and have presence with it. But here's what I think sometimes the woo-woo camp kind of misses. You actually have to go to work too. You actually have to do that too. And I know that Paige will say a hallelujah and Rebecca will know too, because these are two of the hardest working boss babes in the freaking industry, which is you also have to get up and go to work. So it's we were doing all the inner work, all the manifestation, all the believing, all the visioning, all the uniting. But you know what? There were some days that we were up at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning exchanging documents because you also have to do the work. And that's what really frustrates me sometimes about having these kind of big metaphysical conversations is it's okay, everybody gets the mindset thing. And it's I just put down on a piece of paper, I want, $500,000 and I want to manifest that. And it's maybe, but you actually might have to get up and go sell couches somewhere in order for that to happen. And take a intuition that you have and take a step forward, not knowing where that path is going to go. I had no clue in January. that I would be buying a house this year. I was literally just trying to keep my head above water. But I knew from the things that I'd learned from Victor that I needed to get my affairs back in order. And I know it's always better to shoot for the stars because then I'm going to end up somewhere up there. And that's what I was holding for the space, knowing that if it wasn't this house, it was going to be something better. But good God, I haven't seen anything better. So please let it be this house.
Yeah, and I'm going to speak on that as well and go one step further, about manifestation. Heather and I, and Paige, I'm not sure, you can jump in too, but Heather and I have been taught, we come from the same spiritual place, how to manifest something. And people always ask me, how does that happen? How do you manifest getting the house? How do you manifest, getting the car, whatever it is? And it's the spiritual law and the principle that you have to ask for specifically what you want. You have to be so specific that you need to say, I want that address on this street since the moment I moved in. And that's what I want. And you need to visualize it. That's what they call it, visualization. She's printed it out. It's on what we call our vision boards. It's on her wall. It's on her mirror. It is everywhere. She looked at it every day. And I am not kidding, people. You told me that like 6.5 years ago, and I didn't even know the house you were talking about. But it's sort of like when somebody tells you something, it went in one ear and out the other. And then you're like, oh, that's the house you're talking about? They finally put the post in, because I remember you telling me the back part of it sold, like, was it last year or the year before? And well, that's not going to happen, but you still had the faith that it was going to happen. So, if you cannot see it, and if you cannot say it and speak it into existence, it's never going to happen. So my lesson is, ask for what you want. I wanted a child, and I literally was like, I'm not married. I don't have a partner. How am I going to make this happen? And it took a series of events in order for it to occur. We are all moms. We all have to play the role of mom. We have to work, which is like job number 2, because job number 1 is being the mom. Then we work, and then we get to play. And we work so hard so that we can play. But by knowing what we want and speaking in existence, printing it out, putting it on your vision board, putting your goals, writing things down. That's what we have been doing for years. I'm not saying this. Heather wanted to buy a house in January and she just thought this could magically work. This has been years in the making. I've been an agent for a long time. She watches me sell dozens and dozens and dozens of houses, help her best friends. I've helped 2 of your best friends buy houses. Actually, one of them buy, one of them sell, knocking it out of the park, 30% over asking, craziness. And now, like, the gift is that I help them, and in turn, I turn around and I can help you. And you knew what you wanted, and we called it into action, into existence. And I do believe, because it's how everything in my life, and I know your life, I've watched you turn it around from Victor to this date. I cannot believe the mountains that you have moved to get here. I'm so proud of you. I love you so much. And I love everything about your life. And I cannot wait to take your house and help you get it to the place you want it, because it is going to be where we are all going to end up. It is going to become the party house. It is going to become everything that we wanted. And Heather makes everything look magical. You make everything look magical. So I cannot wait to see what you're going to do with it. And literally, this is probably one of my greatest deals that I have ever done. And it was so great because of both of you being involved and just how everything happened. So that's why we really wanted to jump on, because it doesn't happen like this all the time. And it could. You have to ask for it to happen. Yeah. And listen and ask for what you want and ask for what you need. And that's how it happens. And, that's it.
So good. So good. Hey, Tracy, thanks for jumping on. We appreciate you being here. So we're going to wrap up. One of the most important things, like Heather was saying, is with manifestation, one, you got to put in the work, and you also have to surround yourself with people that are going to support you and believe in you. I know Heather was like, Dad, we ain't going to talk about the house. Right? And even I had to put, just because I have my own money trauma, my own limiting beliefs, I got to put that on hold, right? I can't be doing that with Heather, right? So you have to surround yourself with people that are going to believe in your dream. They're going to support you in your dream. They're going to speak life into you, and they're going to go to work for you. And that's really what Rebecca and I brought to the table. So Rebecca, why don't you do me a favor before we go out, tell people how they can get in contact with you. If you are in the LA area, anywhere up Southern California, she can help you all in Southern California. She probably travels. Share with people how you can serve them best.
I just want to say one more thing too, Paige. They might not know this about you, and if I'm calling you out, you can just put your hand up. But Paige is also a licensed real estate agent and is in no. So think about this for a second. Heather and Paige are best buddies. Heather and I are best buddies. The roles that we stepped into, Paige played the role of best friend and lender, and I played the role of sealing the deal, compass partner, and getting Heather what she wants. It doesn't have to, you could have played the role of agent as well. And it might not have gone down that road. We don't know, but it just, from releasing and letting go, and this is the best package. And it's like, we chose it together. So I'm like super proud and thankful and grateful to say that I know you're an agent and you've known each other way longer than I've known Heather, even though we've known each other for years. And Paige, I know you're new in my life, and it's just been fabulous so far. So I thank you for that, of this dream team and of us all giving up something to make this happen for you and make it come to fruition. So I am Rebecca Sekulich. My last name is not so easy, but easy to spell. It's Sekulich, Sekulich @compass.com. Or you can reach me on my cell, which is 310-709-1701. And I also have a website, which is my last name, Sekulich Homes, SEKULICHHOMES.com. And I'm all over. I'm at Rebecca Sekulich on Instagram. I'm Rebecca Sekulich Realtor, Rebecca Sekulich Real Estate on Facebook. I'm easy to find. There is another Rebecca Sekulich who's in New Zealand. Not to be confused, she's like 29 years younger than me, so I'm the older one that's in Los Angeles. But anyway, that's how you can find me. I would be happy to answer any questions about real estate, help you bring your goal, your dream to fruition. And if we gel and are in the same alignment, I would love to help you make that happen.
Thank you so much. Heather, do you have anything, parting words? You want anybody to come see you on Facebook or Instagram or anything like that? Or
I will just say, don't do exactly as I've done. Now is your time to get ready. Get ready. Get your support team. Start talking about what you want. Start visioning. If you don't feel ready, it's okay. You are ready. So it's time for you to get your support team going. If you don't have a support team, call them. They are the best in the business. They will make big things happen for you. So I would just say, for people who this feels just really out of their reach, it's really not. It's a phone call or an email. That's it. Get started on the process.
And I don't know if you ever, especially with your first house, you're probably never going to feel ready. Don't let that get in your way. It is a stretch for most people, their very first house. So just because it feels like that doesn't mean it's a no. That's just a stretch for you. So thank you so much for saying that. Hey, Chris, thanks so much. My name is Paige Hernandez. I work here out of Southern California. I'm a mortgage loan officer. My email, PaigeHernandez@iCloud. You know, if you're on Facebook or Instagram, Paige Taylor Hernandez, if you just click on the link in the link tree in the bio, you'll go over to where you can see how to put in an application if you want to refi. We also do refinances and cash out refinances as well. We'd love to help you with your, real estate financing needs. And with that, we're going to let you guys go. Thank you so much for watching. This was a ton of fun. This was just, a dream come true when you're able to help, work with friends, help friends buy their dream home. This is amazing. When it shows up like this is like, I'm eternally grateful for the job that I get to do. So grateful. So thank you so much for watching, guys. We'll catch you later.
Thanks for having us, Paige.
You're welcome. Bye.